Hi everyone, Jiggiwatt here, and today we're going to be talking about MetaQ version 4 for Asheron's Call. Now this is a meta that I have written for the VirindiTank plugin, and just a brief disclaimer here that this is largely written for my allegiance on the ColdEve server. However, there's no reason that other people can't use this and repurpose it themselves. You'll just want to update the various navigation routes in each of the metas so that it's not making use of our Allegiance hometown, which is Zikyle, and also returning to our particular Allegiance mansion in between. So you'll need to update those if you are not in my Allegiance on the ColdEve server in order to use this successfully. Now the whole point of MetaQ is to allow you to queue up multiple different metas, hence the name. So the idea is that you can run a string of metas. It can run typically a group of characters is what you would do. However, there's no reason you can't run a bunch of these for individual characters as well. There's some that are just a little too difficult for solo characters. So the zip file itself does contain a README that's going to cover a lot of this information as well. So you can skip over this particular section of the video if you like and get right to the installation and configuration. The documentation is pretty thorough. We have release notes, covers all the most recent changes and additions. The requirements are VirindiTank, mag tools, mag filter, and utility belt. Now, utility belt, you have to use the most recent, I believe it's 0.2.6 or something like that. It is a non-beta build. I understand with Immortal Bob or IB Control, there are, I think there's like an extreme version that uses a beta version of utility belt. That actually is not going to work in this particular case. It causes an issue with the network commands that we're issuing to control multiple characters. Also strongly recommended is Chaos Helper. That allows you to use the user interface that I've created for MetaQ and makes running this much easier. You can do some stuff via chat commands, but I've largely started ignoring those and I don't really maintain them too much. The chat command is kind of becoming a legacy functionality at this point. The last one is optional, and that's MetaF. And that is an editor that allows you to easily modify meta files, in particular in Notepad++. Makes it a lot easier than just doing them in game. It allows you to basically do, it's sort of a pseudocode scripting kind of thing. And I'm not a developer, and I've been able to create some pretty advanced metas, so it's something that anybody can learn how to do. Now, as far as the actual installation goes, you will want to go into the zip folder, or zip file, sorry. Now, depending on where you have your plugins installed, you will want to go into your VirindiTank folder. So let's see here, where am I? Chaos Helper. There we go. Games, Virindi plugins, VirindiTank. And you're going to want to copy everything except for the Chaos Helper folder and the README. And if you've already installed a previous version of MetaF, you can just overwrite the existing files. Now that said, if you had previously configured MetaF and you overwrite the files, you'll have to go in and make a couple of changes as well, which we'll cover here in just a moment. Now for Chaos Helper itself, there are 2 files in here. You can just copy those into your Chaos Helper folder, and that gives you the user interface. So let's see, mine is here, and I'll drop them in there. Okay, now with that said and done, I'm going to launch Asheron's Call here. I'm just using Thwarg Launcher, but it's just off screen. And let's see if I can also mute these windows, because I don't think you're going to hear me if it's playing the game sound. There we go. Okay. So I've got a couple of windows open here. And there's Jiggiwatt. Okay, now where are my guys? They are at my housing settlement. Okay. All right. So I turn the sound for that off. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So with everything having moved over your various files, what we're going to do now is in VirindiTank, I'm going to load MetaQ. Now, what you can actually do here, as long as you have your meta option turned on in VirindiTank, or enable meta, that's all you really have to do. What you can do at that point actually is just simply open up the Chaos Helper, and under the little question mark here, you're going to pick your MetaQ.txt and hit load. Then it's going to give you a couple of different tabs here, and this is the user interface. So getting it set up, the only other thing that you'll really want to do is actually going back into VirindiTank under the Meta tab. You'll see a couple of lines here under Setup. There are a few things, and again, this is all covered in the README, so worth checking out. This allows you to define the character that has a tie for the Nexus crawl meta. So otherwise, it's a very long, like about 10-kilometer run, I think. And even in that, and I haven't designed it around that. That's been sort of designed around you having a character with either a primary or secondary tie. Then you have to define who that is in your group. You can also set the name of your loot profile. Now, for some of the quests, particularly ones where you're collecting things, such as, say, snow tusker blood samples in Frozen Valley, you'll need to have that in your loot profile. Again, refer to the README, all that stuff's in there. It lists it for each of the metas, what you need to have in your loot profile. But generally speaking, picking up things like keys or trophies, like one-time things, the meta just has that built in. It doesn't rely on your loot profile. You can also determine whether or not you want to use a key mule, nav, or meta. So this is all legendary quests and luminance quests. So if you want to mule your keys partway through, good idea to do, particularly considering how many of these give aged legendary keys. Your characters can fill up and run into pack space pretty quickly. You can add your own meta or your own nav route file to handle your muling. Now, you'll want to put the name of it as well there. And you can also indicate whether or not you want to use a recomp nav. This is MetaQ actually comes with one with recomp for Keldaseth the Archmage, or Seldaseth. I'm not sure how I actually pronounce that. It requires you to just have the gems that you can purchase from him, and your characters will use those and recomp, provided that you've added the recomp into your queue somewhere, and we'll cover that in a second. Outside of that, let's see. Yeah, that's really it. Those are your settings. That's all you really have to set up. And even then, if you're not going to run Nexus, I mean, there's scenarios in which you don't technically have to define any of these things. But that's it. And that's just a one-time thing that you'll do once you deploy MetaQ. Now, inside of the Chaos Helper user interface, I can load MetaQ. I can hit Start VirindiTank. Most of the messaging is going to be handled with the yellow text. It'll be prefaced with MetaQ in square brackets. I've actually just filtered out. I have all my VirindiTank messaging going to a separate window here. Otherwise, you will see all kinds of information and actions being spammed here of all the different things that MetaQ and my various other metas are running. So generally speaking, I just punch the stuff out here to try to keep things nice and clean. There are a handful of chat messages which will appear as well just in the regular chat. Now, once you have this running, you'll hit Set Group. Now, what this does is it grabs everybody that you currently have logged in from all the clients on your PC. So if you're trying to run this across groups with multiple characters across multiple PCs, that's not supported. This also means if you have another character like a mule or a bot somewhere running or doing something else, it will try to pull them into the group. So the best practice here is once you start MetaQ up, do it with just the characters logged in that you want to be part of the group, and then afterwards you can start the other clients. But when I actually hit the Set Group button, it's going to go ahead and create my fellowship and add my 2 guys here that are logged in on this PC. There we go. And I'm just going to hit start group. And then that is going to use utility belt network UI commands. And by the way, prerequisite here, again, mentioned in the README, is where are we? Vital sharing. There we go. That's the option you have to have turned on in order for these group commands to work. If you don't do that, the other clients running Asheron's call won't receive the commands that we're issuing from the leader. Now you'll be, again, in case I wasn't clear, you'll be doing most of this stuff from the leader's Asheron's call client. So by default, what it does here is you'll see it says, hey, the Lugian Assault meta is queued up. Well, right now I just have one. I've already pre-built my queue. It saves it from the last time you ran it. If this is the first time you've set this up, you will, I believe it'll say something to the effect of you need to define it. It shouldn't throw any error messages. But what you can do to actually set up the queue itself is under the queue setup tab, I hit edit queue. And I'm going to start by hitting just clear queue. And that's going to wipe things out. And I can add anything I want. And I can then, if I accidentally decide I want to remove something from here, I could delete it instead of clearing it and starting over. So let's say I'm going to do Virindi Rescue, Apostate Finale, Frozen Valley kill tasks, Graveyard kill tasks, and the Rinthid kill tasks. Oh, and then when I'm done that, I want to do a recomp, a key muling, and then I'll do 2-2 and Graveyard. When I hit save, I can now go and hit view queue. Let's see, what did I do here? Edit queue. I forgot. I must not have hit the edit queue button properly. All right, let me try this again. Clear, and there we go. Now we're going to go Virindi Rescue, Apostates, click a couple random things, and then hit save. And when I hit view queue, oh, sorry. You have to be in the edit queue to hit the view queue. It's just the way it is right now. I'll eventually try to make some of these controls more, I'll say, accessible, so openly usable instead of when you're in the actual editing of your queue. So here, you'll see down here it says Virindi Rescue and lists everything that I've queued up. By default, now you can also actually set your start position, by the way. So if for some reason you want to keep a static queue and you want to start from position 3, you can come in here and set your current position. There's actually a way to do this under the controls tab as well, which I'll get to, and that actually is a little bit better because it works from just about anywhere, even when you're running a different meta. By default, auto start is turned off. That means that in between metas, it doesn't automatically start the next meta. You actually have to hit start next meta. So right now it's just sitting here waiting. It says the Virindi Rescue meta is queued up to start. Use the start next command or Chaos Helper controls. If I hit auto start on, that means it'll add a 2-minute wait in between metas before it kicks everybody off and starts launching the next one. You can also do reset VirindiTank. This actually resets your whole group. So what it does is when this starts up, it takes a backup of all of your VirindiTank settings, and this will restore the backup. Just in case one of the metas does something that screwed up the settings that you are particularly fond of or have set up in a particular way, that'll reset things back to sort of how you had them before MetaQ went in and started screwing around with things. You can also hit change leader. Now to do that, you just select who you want to set as the leader. You can do this as the leader and pick another leader, and you can also, I believe, do this as another character. So I could open up this with this character, and I could hit, where are we here? Select myself and hit change leader, and it should set me as the leader. I can sort of organize a coup against myself. Restart queue will just reset you back to the very beginning of the queue, and you can shut down, and this will take a second. It sort of clears all the settings, restores backups, disbands the group, and everything. And it's not required, but it's just a nice thing to have. Now, outside of the queue setup, which again, it's pretty self-explanatory, the controls are fairly more complex. So I can do a couple of different things. These controls actually will work at any time. I can pause all. That just stops VirindiTank for everybody. And if it resume all, it'll just start VirindiTank again for everybody and continue from wherever it left off, provided you haven't gone in and manually changed something else. Hitting abort meta, what this will actually do is load it's called the MetaQ abort meta, and that's what the leader will then instruct everybody to basically stop what they're currently doing, shut off combat, shut off looting, shut off everything, and go back to home, in this case, the mansion, and then kind of wait and go back into the restarting the queue within MetaQ. So that's just, kind of things went really screwed up. A bunch of characters got lost. It happens sometimes. It's not a perfect system. You have a way to sort of recover everybody. There's force complete KT, so kill tasks. Some of the areas where kill tasks are performed are packed full of people, and it may take a really long time to complete a particular kill task. The way the kill tasks work is once the first character completes all of them, it will trigger everybody to finish, whether or not the other people have actually completed the kill tasks. Usually they have, because the kills are shared, but in some cases you may have people who are close to finished but not finished. This just allows you, if you've been in, say, the lost city of Neftet for an hour and a half and you're just tired, you don't want to wait on finding another desert cactus, you can hit force complete and it'll just force the current meta to complete. Everyone will go turn in based on the current progress. Boost nav on and off, that's just straight up modifying those VirindiTank settings. Sometimes people are fighting and getting stuck and not following you. I just wanted to have some easy controls there to turn that setting on and off for everybody. Combat on and off, nav on and off. This controls the whole group, not the leader though, worth mentioning. You as the leader will still have to manually set your own options, generally speaking, and give yourself your own commands. You can also hit follow. This will just instruct everybody to follow whoever is defined as the leader. So again, if people are getting stuck or something, or you just have a need, you can just tell everybody to follow you by hitting follow. Set queue position, the button itself just gives you a message to the effect of saying, hey, you have to choose a button below. This allows you to actually say, okay, I don't want to actually start on position 0, which is actually the first quest or meta. I want to start on the 3rd. So I can hit that, and there's no confirmation or anything, but it just automatically changes what the next meta to be fired off will be. So I'm going to go ahead and actually set that back to 0. So when I'm ready to go, I hit start next meta. You see starting the next meta in 10 seconds. Please stand by. And if I actually go into VirindiTank, you can actually see. So I'm currently in this meta execution state, and now I've loaded, boom, Virindi Rescue. Now, all of the metas that I've provided in here, they can actually be run on their own without being launched from MetaQ, but they do require, in that case, to be modified a little bit. You'll notice, say, in these settings here, I have defined all of my characters. So you have to come in here and set all of your various characters and stuff. It's not picking them up automatically. That's just if you are running these metas as standalone and not executing them or launching them from MetaQ. So that's basically it. Again, check the README. Let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up on Discord. And happy questing.